No, is it? Yeah? That one? Okay. Hello? Hello. Hi, guys. Thanks for staying. Everybody stayed. Oh, wonderful. Okay, we're going to have a little, I guess I'm going to moderate. We're going to have a little Q&A. Introduce first, Benny Safdie, the director-writer. And the great and beautiful and my friend, Emily Blunt. Who's left? I think that's it. Oh no. The great Dwayne Johnson. You know, I just thought that I'd wing it, but then I was writing things down on my phone, which I think I'll resort to. But I think, first of all, both of you were so uncomfortably human, like really, truly flawed. And it's one of those things that you get through the movie and you're like, so what am I going to talk about? Like, oh my God, you were great. What a great movie. It's so fun. But it's like, there's a mirror, and I want to ask you first, actually. You know I've heard Dwayne talk about Raging Bull and other movies. What other movies were you inspired by?
Fat City was one.
Fat City.
Fat City, yeah. John Huston. The Harder They Fall. And then Requiem for a Heavyweight were like the big ones. And then Rocky III.
Rocky III
in particular. Shot by Bill Butler. And also he really loses in that one.
Right. And then also, and I don't know if it's bad to bring it up, The Wrestler.
I actually have not seen The Wrestler.
What?
I have not seen The Wrestler. It's breaking news right now.
Someone hiss?
It's just, because it's one of those things where, like, you know how, like, I've always wanted to do like a fight movie of some kind.
Right.
And so you think about it, it's in your head, and then when there's something that like approaches it, you're like, oh, I haven't done it yet, so I haven't had a chance to see. I don't want to see it to like think of things. You know what I mean? You want to preserve the thing that you wanted to do. And this has been like I've always wanted to ever since I started boxing. It was and saw the world of that, like the camaraderie and the community of that. I was like, oh, I need to do something in this somewhere. At some
point. Started boxing?
Yes.
You don't look like you box.
Yes, because I haven't. It's been since COVID. I did.
Oh yeah, it's
done. But I did it for like 10 years. I did it for 10 years.
Did you really?
I did, and then I would spar, and then I got set up for an amateur fight that I was basically being set up to lose.
Right.
So I was training really hard. I did a lot of sessions sparring, and when I stopped learning, like remembering words, is when I said, I'm good.
Who are you? Because I know Dwayne came to you. Who are you in the film? Not what character.
Okay.
But what's the psyche that's you in the film?
Oh, Mark.
Mark.
Yeah.
As a character, you're him.
Yes.
You're not her at all?
I am her as well.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I'm both sides of that coin. You know, because like I feel like I've been on both sides of that argument. That's a very good question. Because yes, there were things that for a perfect example is when Dawn says, just because you've been on your best behavior for 21 days doesn't make you any better than me. That's not a nice thing to say. But like I've had addiction in my family, and you deal with somebody for a very long time, and when they do get better, that is a feeling that I have. That's what Al-Anon is for. It's how you get through those things. But I was like, that's something that is an important statement that I think should be applied to a person, because it's a complicated emotion. So that side is like Dawn. And then the part of me that is Mark is like, I don't want anybody to know that I have this kind of fragile vulnerability inside of me. I'm going to do my best to protect that, because that's a perceived weakness, you know, and you want to protect that and project certain things, or you have a wound that you're trying to cover, you don't want people to know about. And so there is a lot of that.
There's a lot of you. I got it.
Yeah.
I mean, you wrote it, I know, but he came to you with it. So it's interesting how you inherit that, and then you make it your own and you personalize it.
Yeah. And that was the thing is I remember just like as soon as I met Dwayne, and then he said, watch this documentary it was just like a weird, unspoken click. Like, oh, that's it. I
You
get
knew
it.
immediately.
Yeah.
Right, right.
Yeah.
You, I'll get to you.
Take your time with me.
It's funny, there were two moments in the movie. One where I was super attracted to you. And I know you. And I'm attracted to you. But I wasn't, this wasn't Emily I was watching. So I got super attracted to her, which I knew was wrong. And then I was like, wow, man, she's truly the victim in this. She's truly the victim of his insecurities. And then right when I thought that, something else happened. All of that last scene happened. And I was like, oh, she's as broken as he is. Like, why is she with him? So why to you is she with him? And where are you in that?
Well, I spoke to Dawn a lot.
Did you?
Which was incredible, and I'd never had that opportunity to truly absorb somebody before, all the nooks and crannies of them, the full weather system of what they were. She was very nervous to talk at first, defensive, guard up, and is still kind of formidable and wild and fragile. I think the release and the kind of wingspan that it offers you, this world that Benny gives you, a place to be in a relationship that's so messy and so unmovified, so unfiltered and so recognizable, was such a gift. Because I think there's a bit of Dawn in all of us. We might not be to that amplified state all the time. She very much struggled with her own demons while she watched this person that she loved unravel before her eyes, and simply didn't have the tools to save him, but she wanted to. And I felt that with them. There was something heartbreaking about how controlling he was, how codependent she was, just a recipe for a volcano every day.
You could tell if she saved him, therefore she would save herself. In that last scene, to me, it was her realizing that she couldn't save him.
Completely, and I think just out of her control. Everything spiraled out of her control. But she shared a lot about, the shadow of where she came from and how she grew up in her childhood. Whatever we're all marinated in, it's just indicative of who we become and the relationships that we seek. And there was something so heartbreaking about the two of them that I think they really were striving for some kind of happy medium. And it just eluded them at every turn. And
which is more common than
very common.
I mean, I don't know what you guys are like, but you identify with these moments that you don't want to identify with.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Well, people don't always
for me.
say what you hope that they'd say,
Yeah.
nor with the delivery system that they deliver it to you in. So I think I just loved that unfiltered way of communication that was unscripted, even though it was scripted. But it was like you hadn't watched that many movies. Do you know what I mean? Like you weren't conforming to how a movie version of this scene should go, and it was just a delight for us. And rather scary, because you're sort of without a net in that way of sort of resorting to old, I don't know, shtick that you kind of know.
I tried to hide as much of the movie making process as possible.
Yeah, and it was evident.
And we never saw a camera. I don't remember seeing a camera.
I remember Dwayne talking, even in Santa Barbara, and I watched a little bit of that thing that you did in Santa Barbara. I was in Santa Barbara, by the way. Why didn't I moderate that? Anyway. And
You never leave Santa Barbara.
No, I don't. For this, I would.
We were watching The Wrestler together.
No, you were watching. Is that long lenses, and he spoke about long lenses. Yet and so I looked for it because he mentioned it. But you don't feel that they're long lenses. Robert Capa said, the picture is only valid if you get in close, if you're there, which I've always kind of adhered to when I took photographs.
Yeah.
But you never felt like you were unnaturally, and you didn't feel like you were back here peeking in over there. You felt like you were inside it the whole time. I mean, so much so, And I love movies like this because they're purely psychological. It's like, oh, how is the action? That was great, but that wasn't the point. The point is, what's the psychology of the action and all that stuff. So I just went to the bathroom and I was there alone. I don't know why. I was the only person in the bathroom, and I went into a cubicle and I felt like I was still in the movie.
Wow.
I felt super uncomfortable as I was peeing.
And like you were being watched.
Yeah, what?
Like you were being watched.
Like I was being watched, seriously, or that I was in it. So when I saw that last shot of you going away, you did something where you'd pull back, or you'd use the, what do you call it, the zoom.
Oh, for when she's in the
When
car.
she's in the car. And
Oh,
she's
that's actually
breathing.
physically, because again, the way I would approach certain shots to get an insert, I would have Maceo run up.
No, see, so it wasn't even a zoom. So
Yeah.
you couldn't tell, which was
Yeah.
great.
That's
I
awesome.
couldn't tell. And I know technically, I'm like, oh, that's a 35 on
Yeah.
it. You said, you and I texted right before or during this film, and you said, I saw Dwayne in his garb, in his makeup and all that kind of stuff for the first time, and you cried.
Yeah.
You said that was your reaction, your first reaction. Why?
Well, when he walked in, it wasn't just the physical transformation. It was a complete, like possession. It was like he'd been kind of held captive by a completely new way of being. And it was so beautiful because I love him. I know him. We've been pals for years. He's never allowed to disappear. He can't. I've never seen a reaction like what he garners when he comes into a place. And it was like he walked in as Mark. The demeanor was shape-shifted in a way that was so wild. Everyone went quiet. It was like he changed the air in the room. And the thing that made me cry was that I felt this relief wash over him that he could disappear. And it was like he came home or something. It was so beautiful. It stopped my heart. And we stopped all of our hearts at the camera test. It was wild. Everyone just went silent, which I'm sure was weird for you when you walked in and no one was speaking. You're already like, is it the wig?
Well,
like,
no, it
people
was-
think it's bad. Like, but no, it was that we were so moved. It was like,
Insecure already. You know what I mean? Is it me?
oh God,
Is it the fact that I have no front teeth?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you and I had spoken.
Well-
Yeah, that was beautiful. I mean, and I know, very true. You and I had spoken early on, before this movie, about mixing it up. And I don't know if it's two guys in their 50s, I'm older than you are, but something happens in your 50s, and especially, and I'll tell you the image that I had. When you finally go, I've accomplished what I've accomplished, and I'm really grateful for what I've accomplished. So the image that I saw was polished glass being dropped,
Oh,
right? That was the image as I was watching you, all bloated and looking like you were literally going to explode. I mean, you looked bloated. You looked like somebody with an infected soul, and it was just about to crack and start leaking. I mean, your eyes were swollen, everything was swollen, your psyche was swollen. You're not quite smart enough to have the arguments that you want to have. You know, I felt that between you guys. I was like, God, if they were a little bit smarter, they'd actually make it into solution.
Yeah.
But you're smart enough to know that you're not smart enough. Super frustrating. And I seem to know it well. But anyway, enough about me. You tortured me during that movie. You know, it was, and I want to know from you, and I know you've talked about it a lot, but I really want to know, because when you do characters, you go, oh, I was so into it, and I methoded it, and they wanted everybody to call me by that name and all that. I know I pop in and out, you pop in and out, Daniel Day-Lewis fucking pops in and out, you know. But how did you hold that sadness? It's one of the saddest characters I've ever seen. And you're one of the most joyous people I know. So it really made me sad watching it. I was like, what did he do for that long? Because it's not fake. I know it's acting, but then there's a point where it's not acting. So what was that?
You know, it was a few things. It was my dad, who's not here anymore, and the complicated relationship that I have with my dad. And in many ways, my dad was in a way like Mark, who struggled with his own addictions, who was a pro wrestler at a time when Mark was an MMA fighter, paycheck to paycheck, big star, but just struggled, man, you know, and then had a really complicated relationship with his son, and then had a extremely complicated relationship with other children that he had that I didn't know about until he died. And it's just, there was so much of my dad in that, and there was also so much of my own experience of growing up and seeing these guys, many of my friends, who struggled just like Mark, who weren't as lucky or as strong as Mark. And they're walking in the clouds. And they checked out through addiction, through overdoses. And Mark overdosed twice. I think you and I talked about that. I left a message. He's lucky to be alive. A few of my friends checked out on their own because they just couldn't handle the pressure. The pressure is the thing I think that I come back to with this character, because you think with Mark Kerr and with Mark, fighters, men and women, boxers, actors, us in this room, it's not the wins and the losses. Sure, they matter, but it's the pressure and how we deal with pressure. And then some deal with it good, and some we struggle sometimes. So it was that, and it was also my mom, who I would watch her just want to be loved and want some attention from a man who she had committed her life to and gave up all of her dreams, much like Don, to this man and his dreams. And when Emily walked into the locker room in Japan, I say Emily because it was very personal, and unscripted, I ignored her. And you see the look on her face, and I've seen that before with my dad and my mom. So it was that too. And I think there's also just trying to find grace in this life, you know. And here's a guy who is just trying and wants the world, and you're right, and he is intellectually aware enough that, man, if I had maybe a little bit more, I wouldn't be in this position. But I have what I have, and therefore we're going to walk through this world with great curiosity. But also I feel like there's more for me, and I want the world, and I want this thing that's going to change my life. And then at the end, he doesn't get it. He doesn't get anything. And he loses everything. And that shower scene, which was so important, I thought that, because we've all been there in that moment where I feel like you have surrender, and acceptance, you know, and so, and the grace from sobriety. And I feel like Mark is one of the lucky ones. You and I have talked about that. That's why I admire you so much in many, many ways. You know, we've known each other for years through Emily. Tonight, 20 minutes ago, was the first time we've ever actually hugged and kissed.
On
Did a
the
lot of
lips.
kissing. On the lips.
On the lips, which was a bit much, but yeah.
Oh, we've sent each other no less than 30 or 40 videos?
Yes, through videos, yes, yeah.
Through videos and texts.
And while I was shooting, I want to share this with you guys, and I shared this with
Yep.
these guys. You know, sometimes when you do something like this, and we talked about, maybe it is when you hit your fifth level of life, things, maybe 40s, 50s, things begin to change, you look at the world in a different way, and there's a little voice that is behind your rib cage, and you're like, I want to do more. I think there's more. I don't know what it is, but I think it's this. And sometimes you feel like you can do it, but then sometimes you need some friends who can say, you can do it. Yeah, you can do it. Because you just don't know sometimes. When I was up in Vancouver and we were shooting, he just sent me a video and he said, never forget it. 4 words, I want to get it right. He said, "This is your time." And he said, "I love you," and just ended the message.
It is your time, because this is to be celebrated. These kind of movies need to be celebrated. You know, we're in that 4-second mentality, and this is real life stuff. This is mirrored. You have your mirrors, and then you have your roller coasters. You have your entertainment, and you have those things that show us who we are and what we need to work on. And as an audience member, you look at it, and it's once removed, so you go, you're safe. But you can still take it home and go, fuck, I've done that to my wife. I've done that to my husband. I'm that petty. So you're, you know, and this is like a father who, you know, doesn't show up at all and then shows up once and everybody goes, oh my God, he's here, yay! But you have showed up and showed up and showed up and showed up. So you have all this at stake, all this polished mirror stuff at stake. So you're the bravest motherfucker I know for doing this. This is as human as I've ever seen. Really. Wow, it's true. So where to go from here? How about, you guys want to ask a question? Are we like, somebody giving me the thing or no? Yeah? 10 minutes, right on.
I could add something.
You talk as much as I do.
Okay, I was just going to add something about, specifically it was the moment between the two of them in the locker room after he loses. Yeah. And they're trying to have the conversation about, like, he's trying to explain to her what it is that's making him upset. And what I think is so interesting about that, and it goes to what you were saying about two people who get so close to possibly working it out. Yeah. Like, that conversation is going really well, and I remember working on that and trying to figure out the ebbs and flows of it. But there's a moment when he says, oh, it was orgasmic, and then you laugh, because we talked about this, and it's like, oh, this is going to be the moment where they connect, and this is it, and he says, but it's not funny. And then you instantly you see your whole face change, and you're on a completely different wavelength, and you're just watching two people just not quite get there. But like, to do that, like on that subtle level where you're saying something and smiling, and then it just barrels forward, and there's no even recollection of that happening. That's like really intense, realistic performance in a deep, beautiful way. And yeah, it was also, and then it was like, there was the thing that you do where when you say like, well, you did it. You did the thing you're talking about, so why are you upset? And then it's just...
But even him talking about how important it all is to her, and she's going, yeah,
yes, no, exactly.
I know, right?
Yes. So that's
so good.
That's the thing. Yes.
And it's really sweet.
Yes.
And it could be
it's
super
also her,
exalting.
Like, slightly performatively
no, of course.
You know, like, I get it. You know, she knows she doesn't.
Oh, it's so important.
Like,
I know.
I know.
It's just a little too far.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's great. You never repeat your niceties. You're always trying to be better. You're always trying to connect with him in a way that he goes, oh, that's it. But it will never be it with him.
Yes.
It will never be it. And that goes back to that scene, I don't know, I love the movie, with the cactus. And it's just, you're just irritable. It's just, there's no way you're not going to start a fight about the cactus, about the leaves, about the thing.
It could be anything.
Huh?
It could be
anything.
Picking one.
We've all been in that situation.
And by the way, it's not about the drugs, which we thought it was just about the drugs before that. It's this innate thing in you where they both, ultimately, it's about ego. It's like, this has to be about me. You have to submit to me. And she's going, you have to submit to me. You have to save me or whatever. I just think it's fascinating, man. It just makes for good drama. It does. It's great.
Dwayne, he asked me, what am I looking at when I step back after I cut off the nub on the bottom? And I said, well, you're looking at it to make sure if you can live with the scar of what of what you had to cut off.
Right.
And then,
having just talked about how important the saguaro cactus is.
And so but then it gets mistaken as like, oh, he really cares about the cactus.
Yeah.
He's being a good guy. And then it's like, I was just trying to be nice. all these things. The word nice also, I think, is really interesting because it's used in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
So much misplaced hope in each other.
Yeah.
So much.
Yeah.
So what did you guys, when you went home, were your families on set when you guys filmed?
My family came out to visit, and then I saw them right before we went to Japan, but I usually went home because I was sort of more sporadic in that way.
Right.
But
did you feel like dealing with your families was any different while you were immersed in this?
I think that's what's so recognizable about the two of them. It really is a kind of mirrored experience of like where we've all been, whether it's in this relationship, in past relationships, in my parents' relationships. I've just observed this and taken part in so many of these types of conversations and arguments and downfalls. I think that was the catharsis of the whole thing.
That's the
It
redemption.
kind of cracks your ribcage open. And we did sit around, especially before we shot the last big argument. We shared a lot of the things that we had shame about, things we've said. We sat at great length talking about our own experiences in those types of ugly arguments. And then that's how Benny framed the entire thing, you know.
And as you said, Josh, it's like roller coaster, and then there's the mirror. And looking at the mirror, we've all been through that. Yeah. I've been through that.
So it was redemptive. It was redemptive. And so, like, I know, having just watched the movie, I want to get back up to Santa Barbara and hug my wife. That's the only like, for real.
Yeah, for sure. Where you realize, man, I've been that.
Yeah.
I know what that's like. It was one of the, I think really one of the most amazing things that Mark Kerr had shared with us once he watched the film. Finished, watched it, and it was this overwhelming sense of accountability that he had.
Yeah.
After all these years, he said, wow, I finally see my part in all of this and how bad I treated the people who love me.
Wow.
And so you talk about, hey, I want to go home and hug my wife. I mean, I just think about when Mark said that, about how my accountability in all of this and how bad I've treated the people around me, it made me realize, for example, like that scene when you came to visit in Japan for the first fight and you were completely ignored.
Yeah.
Isn't it funny how the people we love the most can be, and they could be in the same room. I'm guilty of this. We love them the most, but yet they become the most invisible.
Yeah, you take them for granted in that
You take
moment.
them
Like,
for granted.
yeah, just like, oh, they'll be okay. I don't need to do that now.
Because they'll always be there.
Exactly,
Right.
and then that's not true. It takes
And then
work.
they won't.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me go more surface really quick. What prosthetics and all that kind of, I mean, you looked so big, it was uncomfortable for me.
Well, by the way, it was uncomfortable for me too.
Oh, good.
Yes.
Good.
It was, you know what it's like. You've had to put on a
I
lot
do.
of weight. Yes, we've worked with
Weight.
the same coach and the same
Yeah.
trainer.
Yeah.
Benny came to me and he said something that I've never heard, and he actually called it out. He said, yeah, I don't know if you've ever been told this, but I think you're going to need to get bigger. I said, okay, sure, let's talk about it and think about it. So then, but I realized what he meant was when you see Mark Kerr was, as we now know, he was a big muscular guy. He had the kind of quality of muscle that wrestlers have.
Yeah.
Their traps, their shoulders are good, right? It's like, so I think
Remember, I think I said puffier.
puffier.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Puffier.
Puffier.
I
Yeah.
said
But that's-
bloated.
Yeah.
I said bloated. You said
Bloated, puffier, and so in order to put on, I said, Benny, I think it's maybe 25 to 30 plus pounds. It's a lot of weight to put on. It's a lot of stress on your body, on your joints, on everything. And I said, okay, he gave me 12, 14 weeks, put on about 32 pounds, 23 prosthetics total every day.
23?
23.
How many hours?
3.5 to 4.
3.5 to 4 every day.
Longer if there was a lot of bruising and post-fight bruising, things like that.
Yeah.
The vocal transformation too as well. Here's something really interesting I think you guys will, and I know you guys will find interesting, is so Liz Himmelstein is a dialect coach I've worked with through Emily. She worked with her Oppenheimer. Liz said, okay, before we start this journey, I want you to know that you speak from the ground up. And I went, and probably similar to yourself, I feel like you speak from the ground up. And I didn't know what that meant until she explained it to me. And I said, okay. And she goes, Mark Kerr speaks from here.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
And she said, yeah. She goes, so he speaks. And then it started to dawn on me, oh, Mark kind of speaks from here, kind of soft. He's very soft-spoken. And then also what he does, he has this curiosity with everything he says. If it's a declaration.
Dude, that's so creepy.
Yeah.
It's really creepy when you do that. It's a
Like
different
I've
dude.
seen your movies before, Josh.
Right.
Just amazing. Josh, wow, I can't believe I'm sitting here. This is crazy. So he speaks from here up.
I remember the first time I spoke to him about how he did that transformation once he got in the ring, because he's so eloquent and he's so sweet and gentle. But then he dominated, like head-butted and just lacerated people to oblivion. And I said, how did you do that, Mark? And he goes, I know, it was nasty.
And it was like, it's wild because I was talking to him earlier and it was like, to Mark, and this idea, I think that you look at somebody who's that strong, like, and specifically in this, you're so big, and then at this, he's also pulling himself all the way in and trying to be way smaller than he actually is.
Yeah.
So it's like defying his size. And then you see how he explains what he does in the ring, and it's very disconnected to what you'd assume somebody like that is like. And so again, it's just constantly confronting how you make these snap judgments about people, but then seeing somebody that big cry is important, you know?
Yeah, and I said earlier, smart, and that's not the word. It's like you stopped at 13. It's like you just, it wasn't even a regression. It was just like, for whatever your past is, or whatever you created, or whatever you talked to Mark and, you know, both of you about, is that it just, everybody stopped growing at 13. So when you hear, like, even the voice, when you're doing the voice, it's almost like a kid's voice, you know? It's just, and it's almost robotic, because if we're outside of really deciding on our words, then it will be unsafe, and we can't afford to be unsafe, and we have to, and yet you're irritable. I don't know, it's fascinating to me.
Yeah, but carrying this rage.
Yeah, yes,
Yes.
yeah.
Didn't know even what to do with.
He didn't know what to do with. Childlike curiosity that he had. Stopped at 13. I love that phrase and that thought. But then also carrying shame.
Carrying shame, yeah. Oh my God, loaded with it.
And that's
Puffy with it.
and the door.
Puffy
That's why
with the
door. The door is so important, is that it's like you're seeing him suppress. Like that was another thing I remember afterwards, like the length of time at which you don't say anything to Emily, to Dawn, when she says,
You lost.
yeah, like, you lost, big deal, get over it. There's just a dead silence for a very long time. And you get up and you have no idea what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And then you just like, it's like a second, you snap this thing out, and then it's right back to where you were before. It's wild, you know?
What
But
you
again,
guys just experienced is, you weren't here for a little while, and it was just some bros hanging out talking about their movie. I love this movie so much.
Thank
I'm
you.
so happy that
Thank
you
you,
made
Josh.
it. I think it's there to be celebrated again and again and again. So keep touring, and I love you guys.
Thank you
We
so
love you
much.
too.
Thank
Thank you guys so much. Thank you.
Thank you.